Hello everybody who may possibly be seeing this. This is a video for my friend Cordell. So if you're not my friend Cordell, hi, I don't know you or your name, but if you are my friend Cordell, hi Cordell, bet you thought that I really wasn't going to make this video even though I told you directly that I would. Basically, an introduction to what this is I've been trying to get my good friend Cordell, I'll put a picture of him up on the screen here. Great, that's my friend Cordell. I've been trying to get Cordell to listen to Ethel Cain for months. Actually, a year, over a year, since I got a little drunk, a lot drunk on my birthday last year, and drunkenly told him the lore of Preacher's Daughter, which he definitely doesn't remember. Um, Hence why I'm making this video. But recently what sparked this was that on TikTok I sent him an edit of who is it? What's his name? Arthur from Red Dead Redemption 2 to Tempest. And I said, I really think you would like Tempest with the context of the story around it. And he said, I'll check it out. I said, you got to listen to Preacher's Daughter first and you got to know the lore. And I said, I kind of want to make a video essay to explain this to you. And he said, if you did that, I would actually watch it. Here's proof of him saying that. So he better be watching this. I'm not entirely sure how long this video is going to be. I'm going to go over Preacher's Daughter and Willoughby Tucker just to get the full scope of the lore. So it's going to be however long it takes me to explain it, which is an undisclosed amount of time. We'll see, I guess. Also, I want to clarify that this, again, is for my friend, my good friend, Cordell. So, in terms of getting every little tiny thing that Hayden has said, Cordell, for you, buddy, that's Hayden, that's Ethel Cain's actual name. We'll get into it. Don't worry about it. But in terms of everything that Hayden has said specifically, like, I'm not getting into all that. I'm not getting into all of that, okay? I'm gonna go over what my good friend Cordell needs to know. This is a needs to know basis kind of thing. I will be quoting her here and there for what she has said about the lore of the songs, but like anything outside of the lore, I'm not gonna really get into unless absolutely necessary, which really isn't a lot. And in terms of sources, I'll put where I got stuff in the description. It's like it's from all over, bro. Like, I'll put it down there just for clarity's sake, but we just gotta vibe with this, okay? There's a lot to go over. And I'm just gonna do my best explaining what happens here. If I get something wrong, chill out. Cordell, this is for you. Something that you should know before you get into Ethel Cain is that Ethel Cain fans are actually, like, purists. They're purists, okay? If you don't know, like, the sound capture of like a windmill at night that she uploaded to SoundCloud like 8 years ago, you're a fake fan. So that's the vibe we're working on here. Ethel Cain fans, love y'all. You're my crew. Some of y'all need to chill the hell out sometimes. Let me tell you what. But we're gonna get right into it because again, like I said, there's a lot to cover. I've got all my notes here. There's like 5 pages front to back on standard notebook paper, highlighted for my convenience. So we're just gonna get right into it. Okay, so the first thing you need to know is that the first album in this story, ooh, my cat's getting into a box. The first album in this story is called Preacher's Daughter. It takes place mainly during the year of 1991, which is important. So remember that 1991 is when the first album takes place. We follow Ethel Cain, who is around 20 when this story of Preacher's Daughter starts. She grew up, was born and raised in Shady Grove, Alabama, to Joseph and Vera Cain. As you can probably guess from the title of the album, Joseph is a preacher. A preacher. Making Ethel the what? Say it for me, Cordell. The preacher's daughter. Right. And another tidbit, fun fact, Ethel was named after her paternal grandmother, who was named Ethel. So, really cool stuff going on. Also, what you need to know is just baseline getting into it. Preacher's Daughter is set a decade after Joseph died in a fire. So it's important to note that throughout this whole thing, even Willoughby Tucker, the second album, Joseph, dead, been dead. And he was like this super big pillar in their community in Shady Grove. Everybody loved him. He's the preacher. Everybody thinks he's a great holy dude. We're gonna get into it. The album begins with Family Tree intro, and this is the start of Act 1 of the album. Yeah, it's an acts. Yeah, we're telling a story, buddy. Family Tree intro. Oh, how you say what a brilliant beginning to a concept album. Oh my god. Oh my god. A line from and throughout this, guys, mainly Kordell, because that's who this is for. I will be including significant song lyrics here and there. Every song lyric is kind of significant, but we're just gonna take the ones that I found the most significant to talk about in terms of the meaning of the song and how it relates to the story. Okay. First song lyric, she says, Jesus can always reject his father, but he cannot escape his mother's blood. Let's just sit with that for a second. Right? So diving into this, just really getting into it, right? She cannot, and this comes from a mix of sources, this interpretation, she cannot escape her mother's, Ethel's mother's, lack of divinity, right, in comparison with her preacher father. So Jesus, as a stand-in for Ethel herself, can reject her father, right, but she cannot escape her mother's blood. She cannot escape her mother's lack of divinity, like the Virgin Mary was not divine, in comparison with her father, aka God, in this metaphor or comparison, who was the preacher of the community, someone who devout, held up on a pedestal, la-di-da-di-di-da. And this intro also kind of showcases the themes of generational trauma and Christianity that we're going to be dealing with throughout this entire album. Trigger warning for my friend Kordell, it gets pretty rough. It gets pretty freaking rough. I'm telling you now. This is a quote that comes from Genius Lyrics, which I thought was pretty good at describing what this song kind of is about. What killed her was as much the environment she grew up in that led to her making the decisions she did as much as her choices themselves. So this is basically saying, kind of going off that idea of generational trauma, where the environment that she grew up in was played as much of a part in the ending of her story as the actual physical decisions that she was making along the way did. Kind of like explanation, not an excuse. Ish. But that's Family Tree intro. Now we're getting into it. The second track on Preacher's Daughter is American Teenager. Now, when you listen to this song, it kind of speaks for itself. But what I will say is, I will quote Hayden for what she said for Pitchfork, which was, "Growing up, I was surrounded by visions of NASCAR, rock and roll, and being the one who would change everything. They make you think it's all achievable, and that if nothing else, you should at least die trying. What they don't tell you is that you need your neighbor more than your country needs you." This is definitely in direct reference to the beginning verse of this song, where she says, the neighbor's brother came home in a box, but he wanted to go, so maybe it was his fault. Another red heart taken for the American dream. This song deals a lot with the visions of America that a lot of Midwestern Bible Belt kids had, especially in the early 90s. When this album takes place, and especially dealing with like pre-90s, if you even want to go back to like Vietnam era, this was like whole United States dealing with this, where you have the draft and these young kids having to go to war to fight for something that, like, we're just going out there dying for a lot of hoopla. Like, we're dying for oil. Your child's dying for oil. You're at home and your child's dying for oil. It's 11 p.m. Where is your kid? You know? This song is really just kind of encapsulating. It has a really poppy, hyped up beat where it's like, yay, I'm so happy. Okay, so again, oil. And this song also talks about, references Ethel's beginnings of drinking, her drinking problem that kind of plays a huge role throughout the beginning of this story. She's drinking so that she can get up and do sermons at her family's church, her father's church, after he passed. She was originally in the Sunday choir, but after he passed, she kind of, like, as she got older and older and older, started doing the sermons for him, but she kind of needs to be drunk for it. But she does show up. She shows up. She's a little tipsy, but she's there. So trust. Ethel gets it done. And now, moving on to the real meat and bones of the album, the third track, A House in Nebraska. Now this, oh, my friend Kordell, this song, oh my god. A House in Nebraska is your introduction, my friend Kordell, introduction to the Willoughby Tucker. Titular character of the second album, Willoughby Tucker. So keep him in mind because he's probably important, right? Use logical thinking. He's probably important, right? So what you need to know listening to this song, the house in Nebraska is not actually in Nebraska, okay? They're just saying it's in Nebraska. The house in Nebraska is just kind of like this rundown abandoned house in Shady Grove, Alabama. A little bit out of town, by the highway. It's basically where Willoughby and Ethel go to, well, get a little freaky, as teenagers do. Ethel. And she's basically kind of like reflecting on this time in the house in Nebraska. It's not currently happening. She is reflecting upon it because remember, it is 1991. So when we get more into Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You, we'll go over more timeline stuff, but I do want to say that at this point, Ethel and Willoughby they are not together. They have been broken up for a while, like about a year-ish. She is missing him. She's missing him. She's saying things like, I'm the reason you won't come home, but I still call home that house in Nebraska. She's saying things like, I still wait at the edge of town praying God that you'll come back around, you know? She's praying to God for Ethel to come, or for Willoughby to come home wherever he may be. The story is that he left, which we'll discuss a little further when we go over Willoughby Tucker, and that she does not know where he is. She just wants him to come home. It was this sort of like young teenage love that is very romanticized in Ethel's head. Again, we'll get more into that. Trust. But this whole song is her lamenting about this relationship and how she misses him. But there's something interesting here. Ethel says in this song, your mama calls me sometimes to see if I'm doing well. What? Basically, Ethel here is saying that Willoughby's mom calls her to check on her, which is interesting because of something that Hayden herself says about Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You, which again we'll get into when we get there. We'll cross that bridge when we cross it. There are bridges you cross, you didn't know you cross until you cross. Something that Ethel also says at the end of the song that I found important and interesting was, it was love, I guess, right? This is hearkening to a theme, again, we'll discuss when we get to album 2, beauty versus love. Like, where do we fall there? But again, we're going to get more into it. I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot, but that's the way the cookie's crumbling, ladies and gents. It's the way it's crumbling, okay? Okay. Moving on to the next song in the Preacher's Daughter lineup, Western Nights. Now, Western Nights. Some people don't like this song. I used to not like this song. But you really gotta, like, kind of sit in, like, a dark room and, like, really stare at a wall while you listen to it and just be like, yeah. Western Nights is your introduction to boy number 2 of this album, Logan Phelps. There are 3 men in this album that are, I'm gonna say 4 men that are significant, including Ethel's dad. But Logan Phelps is boyfriend number 2. Now, Logan. Definitely the least significant out of the boyfriends, but he does act as a very good, how you say, in-betweener. Logan is a criminal. Mama, I'm in love with a criminal. which is basically the vibe of this song, to be completely honest with you. I wrote down Ethel leaves home, and her and Logan have a violent/toxic relationship. And what you do need to know about this song is that Ethel is being abused by Logan. She says, I watched him show his love through shades of black and blue. The neighbors pound on the walls while I'm face down in the bed. Not good for Ethel. Not good for Ethel. Logan Phelps, when I catch you. But what you do need to know story-wise for this song is that during a bank robbery gone wrong that Ethel is assisting in, Logan dies in a shootout with police. He is shot and killed by the police. And then Ethel goes on the run. Also during this song, Ethel's coping really hard. She's fully out of Shady Grove now, and she's missing it. She's missing her life that she used to have in sort of a really roundabout way. She's also imagining her father worrying about her, saying, I haven't spoken to my daddy in a long, long time. Basically just saying he's probably out there worrying for me, despite the fact that he is long dead. It's been 10 years since he died in the fire. So Ethel's coping, and not very well. Now moving on to the next song in the album, Family Tree. You may be wondering, didn't we already do that? No! Family Tree is just Family Tree and not Family Tree Intro. Think of it as kind of like extended version, like director's cut of Family Tree Intro. This song is so good, my friend Kordell. This song is so good. Oh my god, I can't exaggerate enough. It's one of my favorites on this album, and I'm telling you right now, I'm serious. So like I said, Ethel's on the run, and at this point, she's kind of starting to do the next two songs on this album, so Family Tree and the one after it, are reflection songs. She's reflecting on her life until this point, like what's gotten her here. And this one is mostly about her dad, just like the next one. This song has themes of being bathed, needing to be clean, like themes of baptism. So take me down to the river and bathe me clean, put me on the back of your white horse. She says, give myself up to him an offering, let him make a woman out of me. This could be in reference to Jesus or her own dad, who she's already kind of compared to biblical figures like God. And really, like, there's not much to say about this song, only because it's kind of one you kind of just, you need to listen to it. Like, the pure emotion of the song comes best with the instrumental of it and the way that Ethel is singing on the track. It sounds very almost bitter, almost angry. The Genius annotation for this song says that Ethel finds out a disturbing family secret. It doesn't say what that secret is. What I interpret it as is Ethel's now alone and given all this time to reflect. And she realizes upon reflecting about the relationship she had with her father, she realizes that he abused her when she was young in the bad way. I don't really know what I can say that's not going to get this. I don't know how YouTube works, and like, would they take the video down if I said it? Clap if you hate it. But if you pick up what I'm putting down, he abused her when she was very young. And this song kind of gives off the bitter, angry feeling of dealing with that kind of grief right off the bat. I'm going to like smooth transition into the next song on the album, which is Hard Times, because it deals with a lot of the same themes that come from Family Tree. Hard Times, where Family Tree was bitter and angry, Hard Times is more solemn in its reflection and more tired in its reflection. It goes more into the abuse that she experienced from her father as a child, where she says 9 going on 18, so she was very young when this happened. And all of the emotions that come with that, the really complex emotions. She says in the song, she talks about how even though he was so cruel to her in this way, she still looks up to him and wants to be like him, which scares her. Because what parts is she taking, right? The evil that she experienced from him, or the good that she saw when he was preaching, when he was commanding the pulpit, right? And then at the end of the song, she says, I'm tired of you still tied to me. I'm too tired to move, too tired to leave. She doesn't want to keep fighting. She just wants to sleep. I don't even want to be like jokey here, because this song genuinely, every time I hear it, like, it makes me sick to my stomach. Joseph Cain, When I Catch You. That's the joke that I'll make. Sure. And also, Hard Times closes out Act 1 of Preacher's Daughter. From here, things are, how you say, downhill and fast. The next song on the album is one of my personal favorites, Thoroughfare. Thoroughfare is, oh my god, wow. Like, I don't even have much to say about it. Like, I have a lot to say about it, but like, oh my god. Like, you just gotta listen to it, my friend Kordell. You just have to listen to it, okay? Okay. So this is your intro to the third boy of the album, Isaiah Abram. Now, Isaiah. Mitski reference for those who care. Clap if you care. So, as you know from before, Ethel is still on the run. She ends up in Texas. Aldine, Texas, I believe, if I am correct. She's in Texas, and she meets Isaiah. Isaiah, he's got a pickup truck. He's cool. And he tells Ethel, okay? He tells Ethel, do you want to see the West with me? Because love's out there and I can't leave it be. And she says, well, honey, love's never meant much to me. Okay, me when I lie. But I'll come with you if you're sure that's what you need. So basically, Thoroughfare is their experience of traveling, right? They made off for California. That's where they're planning on going, right? That's where Isaiah was planning on going. He wants to go out west, la-di-da-di-di-da, and find love. That's his whole thing. That's where he's going. And over the course of the song, Ethel's like, yeah, I'm gonna hitch a ride with this guy. Like, he seems cool. I just kind of need somewhere to go and someone to be with. Ethel doesn't like to be alone. It's pretty evident, right? But over the course of their journey together, they fall in love. It's actually, this song is actually really sweet if you don't know anything at all. And if you're blissfully ignorant, this song is actually very, very nice. Finding love on the road, traveling out west, the great American dream. But this is Preacher's Daughter, so can't all be cookies and cream, right? Also, I just want to say that my friend Kordell, if you look up Ethel Cain's missing poster, which I'm going to put right here, it does say that she was being forced into a pickup truck. Ethel getting into Isaiah's pickup truck right off the bat in Aldine, Texas, like it says on the missing poster, she was not forcing him. This missing poster has not happened yet. This occurrence of her being forced into the truck is not when she first meets Isaiah and gets into his truck to travel through Texas, okay? It's not the same event. Many try to say that it's the same event, that Isaiah originally kidnapped her. He did not. I believe it was Hayden that said herself that Ethel got into that truck willingly that first time. Okay, Ethel wanted to go. Baseline, you gotta know that. It was willing the first time, right? Now, moving on to the next song in Preacher's Daughter is Gibson Girl. Now, Gibson Girl, ooh. Such a good song. The second half of this album, just banger after banger after banger after banger after banger. Like, it's crazy. So, lore-wise, what you do need to know is Ethel and Isaiah end up in Arlington, Texas, and out of the back of a gentleman's club called the Red Velvet Swing Gentlemen's Club is a secret prostitution ring thing where... Can I say that? Can I say prostitution? Oh well, I already said it. Isaiah has started to basically pimp out Ethel and kind of feed her drugs. Can I say that word? The DR word. The bad word. I don't know. I don't know. He's pumping her full of substances and then sending her off to old dudes for money. I think that'll do. Yeah, it's really not good for Ethel right now. She is bitter during this song. She doesn't like doing this, obviously. Obviously, she hates this. And it's really, really, really not good for Miss Ethel Cain right now. She says during the song, if you hate me, please don't tell me. Just let the lights bleed. all over me. And baby, if it feels good, then it can't be bad. No, 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 no. And I also want to say that when I was talking about what happened on the missing poster, this is when the missing poster information comes into effect. Her missing poster says, this one might not say it. I don't know what image I put up there yet. But Ethel goes missing March 15th, 1991. This is from a news article that was written about the event where it was said that she was last seen in a Winn-Dixie parking lot arguing with a man, who is Isaiah, before she hits him, and then he forcefully shoves her into his black pickup truck. So that's the event, right? Ethel is now missing. And this argument happens in the Winn-Dixie parking lot after the Red Velvet Swing Gentlemen's Club was raided by police. So Ethel's suffering at that hand comes to an end. And then she gets into a fight with Isaiah, presumably about that scenario, hits him, and then he gets angry and shoves her into his truck. And then from there on out, that is the last time Ethel Cain is ever seen again. Now we're on to our next song in the discography of Preacher's Daughter, and that is Ptolemea. This is Kordell. My friend Kordell, I've played you this song before. I have played you this song before. I've made you listen to it. But with the given context of everything that I'm telling you, I really need you to take a deep listen to it again, because wow, the amount of times I've actually disassociated to the song is astonishing. I will completely lose track of what's happening. It is like a siren song, Ptolemea. So in context of the story, during the song, Ethel has again been pumped with substances from Isaiah, and she is hallucinating really, really, really bad. This whole song is basically just her hallucination of what's currently happening to her, which is she is currently being held hostage in Isaiah's attic of a shack in Northern California, where he has driven her after he took her from the Winn-Dixie parking lot. And there is where he inevitably ends her life. Moving on to August Underground, which is an instrumental track. This track is, I kind of consider Ptolemea, August Underground, and then Televangelism, which is what comes next, sort of like triplets. These three songs are the same event, just in different stages, you know? So August Underground, this is Ethel dying, and Isaiah, who is also on a lot of substances and hallucinating a little bit, has since stuffed Ethel's body into a freezer. And in his hallucination, in his sort of psychosis that he's going through, he eats part of her. He doesn't eat all of her, like it's not some methodical Hannibal Lecter type thing. Isaiah is literally in psychosis, and he just takes a bite. He just takes a big bite out of her. For what reason, I'm not entirely sure, but he just does it. If you want to hear a little bit from Isaiah on this subject, this is a letter that he wrote to his mother post Ethel death. He said, "Dear Mama, I am sorry for what I did to her, but I did it for you. I love you, Mama. Your son, Isaiah." I don't really know what he was trying to say with all that, but sure. Sure. Whatever. Something else you should know is that August Underground is named after a very famous pseudo snuff film. Just kind of indicating that this is Ethel's final hour on Earth. Televangelism is what comes next. This song, wow. If you really want the full experience, you have to listen to the transition between August Underground into Televangelism, like the no cut. The songs blend together beautifully. It's amazing. Where August Underground was more bitter and foreboding sounding, Televangelism definitely has big church vibes. That really broken piano playing in the background is Ethel accepting her death and ascending into heaven. But what you do need to know is that from here on out in the album, there are 2 songs left. Ethel is dead for both of them. This is coming from a post-death Ethel. The penultimate song on Preacher's Daughter is called Sun Bleach Flies. Now, this one is big church, okay? This one is big church. And this is Ethel in heaven reflecting on her life. She's reflecting on everything that's happened up until this point, but mostly on Willoughby. She says she's reflecting on the whole thing, talking about her childhood, talking about what's gotten her here. And she says at the end, but I'm still praying for that house in Nebraska. Even after all this, she's still praying for Willoughby. And with the context of Willoughby Tucker, I'll always love you, this is going to make the line even more sickening, just based off of what we learned there. So get ready for that. Also, during the bridge of the song, she says, if it's meant to be, it will be. I forgive it all as it comes back to me. And if you listen really hard, you can kind of hear that she's saying, Willoughby in the background. Just a little tidbit for ya. Just a little bit of a tidbit fun fact. Now on to the final song of Preacher's Daughter. We have Strangers. Also one of my favorite Ethel Cain songs ever. This is where we fully get the conclusion to what happened with Isaiah. She starts the song by saying, calling herself a freezer bride. You devour like smoked bovine hide. Ugh. How funny. I never considered myself tough. Yeah, so he took a bite. Throughout the chorus or pre-chorus of this song, she says, am I making you feel sick? Am I turning in your stomach? Am I making you feel sick? This line has so many meanings. It could really be, is my literal meat that is inside of you making you sick? Is the body that you cannibalized making you feel ill? Am I turning in your stomach? Am I literally going to make you throw up? Or is the guilt from hurting me what's making you sick? Or do you find me so unattractive now that you had to hurt me? Am I making you feel sick? Sort of like a pleading, like, please don't let me be making you feel sick. She says throughout the song, I tried to be good. Am I no good? That could be taken as a bitter, am I no good? Do I not taste good now that I'm dead and you're eating me? Or it could be more of a, am I no good? Do I not have good left in me? And is that why you decided that I needed to be gone? You know? It's a really introspective song in that way. Just something to think about. Whereas Sun Bleach Flies focused more on her relationship with Willoughby, I would say Strangers focuses a lot more on her relationship with her mother, Vera. The last lines of the song are directed toward her mother, basically saying, don't worry about me. I'll see you when you get here to heaven. Don't think about it too hard or you'll never sleep a wink at night again. She's telling her mom not to worry. Don't lose sleep. She's already gone. It's really, really freaking sad if you just start to think about it for too long, you know? And my friend Kordell, that concludes the story of Preacher's Daughter. I just talked for 40 minutes about one album. So I'm probably going to talk for 40 minutes about the second one too. Now, something that you need to know for Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You, is that it is a prequel album. This takes place before the events of Preacher's Daughter, namely from the years 1986 until 1990, which is where Willoughby Tucker ends. And then a year later, we pick up with Preacher's Daughter and the end of Ethel herself. But here we get to see her teenage years and the blossomings of young love with one Willoughby Tucker. Now, I'd love to say with that intro, The Blossomings of Young Love, that this album is any less heartbreaking. I would be lying to you. I would be really, really evilly lying to you. If anything, this one is worse. It's worse. It's worse. It's worse. It's worse. With less tracks even. And more instrumental tracks. It's still youch. A big youch. So this is Ethel's release, Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You. We start with the first song on the album, Janie. This album introduces a couple new characters to the Ethel Cain lore. This song is about Janie, who is Ethel's best friend. And in Janie, this is when Janie herself gets a new boyfriend and Ethel feels that she's being pulled away from her. She says lines like, she was my girl first. She was my sister first. This is a lot of the blossomings of Ethel's insecurities that we're going to see a lot on this album. Remember, at the time of this happening, Ethel's like 16. So I've been there. I'm sure many people watching have been there. Kordell, my friend Kordell, I'm sure you've been there, right? Your friend gets a partner for the first time, and suddenly you feel like you're losing your friend. But while Janie has this boyfriend, that means that Ethel starts to get a little bit closer to her classmate, Willoughby Tucker. Willoughby Tucker. Tucker, I hardly know her. The next song on the album is an instrumental track, and it is Willoughby's theme. Now, oh my god, Willoughby's theme. What a beautiful track. It's so gorgeous to listen to. On Instagram, when the album came out, Hayden said, I wanted to try and sonically capture the nauseating, dizzying fear and rush of falling in love and realizing that no matter what happens inside it, you will be fundamentally changed by it in the end. And that is exactly what happens to both Willoughby and Ethel. There's not much else I can say about this song. Just take a listen to it. It is beautiful to listen to. Moving on to the third album. The third song on the album, Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You. Can I swear? F me eyes. F word me eyes. That'll do. Yeah. This song introduces another new character into the Ethel Cain universe, and that is Holly Reddick. This song is about Holly. Ethel is writing it from a place of jealousy. Holly is this girl in town who is very beautiful. She's very presumptuous. Is presumptuous? That's not the word. Provocative. Provocative is the word I was looking for. Ethel says in the song she really gets around town, if you know what she's trying to say by that. But she also says that no one wants to take her home. Holly in Ethel's eyes is not the type of girl that boys take home to mama, basically. Her mom was a substance abuser who didn't take care of her children very well. So Holly's kind of just left on her own, right? You can kind of vision the girl in your mind, like short shorts outside the liquor store, smoking a cigarette, just waiting on the next guy, right? But it's a really, really sad portrayal. Ethel even says at the end of the song, I'll never blame her, I kind of hate her, I'll never be that kind of angel. Ethel is jealous of Holly. She says that she can't blame her for behaving the way she does, but I'm still jealous of her and I kind of hate her because in Ethel's mind, this is the kind of girl that Willoughby's looking at. Ethel is plain. Hayden has said herself that Ethel is the plainest of plain Janes. She is normal looking. She doesn't have any, things about her that would make her stand out. She's just Ethel, right? But Holly's beautiful. She gets attention from men. She's an angel in Ethel's eyes. And Ethel is jealous that she'll never be like that because that is what Willoughby wants. Or that's what Ethel perceives that Willoughby wants, which isn't the case. This song basically is just another introduction to some of Ethel's insecurities as a young teenager. Moving on, we have Nettles, which, it really was all for you. It really was all for you. So at this point, Ethel and Willoughby are together. Aww, we're in the throes of young love. This is a quote that comes from the wiki, kind of describing what this song is contextualizing, because I just thought they worded it really well. After a near-fatal accident at the factory where Willoughby worked, the real world starts to creep into their fantasy, as Willoughby starts to realize that realistically, they could never escape the stains their family left on them. In terms of stains, we've kind of already gone over what Ethel's are, but this album delves more into what Willoughby's are, and we will get into that. There are a few songs that kind of dive into it deeper that aren't this one, so we'll get there when we get there. This song, if you want to look at it, just from an outsider's perspective, it really is young love personified. It's a very beautiful song, just sonically on its own. It's gorgeous, like most of Ethel's songs. All of Ethel's songs, I should say. Yeah. But this one is kind of showcasing the beginnings of Ethel romanticizing her relationship with Willoughby, kind of making it something that it perhaps is not. I have written down, because of Ethel and her dad's relationship, she starts to project an image onto Willoughby of a strong man to protect her, despite him going through his own stuff. We can kind of see glimpses of the fact that Willoughby maybe isn't all as put together as Ethel is making him out to be in this song. versus the version of him that Ethel is creating in her mind. This romanticized, idealized version of their young love and their relationship. And also from this song, we get the glimpses of the relationship that Willoughby has with his dad. In the song, Ethel says, "That picture on the wall you're scared of looks just like you." This would definitely be referring to Willoughby's father, who was abusive to Willoughby, and how Willoughby doesn't want to be anything like him. Kind of in comparison with Ethel and her own dad, where even though he abused her, Ethel still wants to be like her dad, and that frightens her. Willoughby is already frightened of his dad and knows that he wants to be absolutely nothing like him. It's just a difference that Willoughby and Ethel have, even though it kind of comes from a similar place. So knowing this, Ethel is aware that Willoughby's dad is abusive, but despite this, she still thinks that love is enough to kind of save their relationship, to make it better, to save them both. And Willoughby is currently starting to doubt this. He's the more realistic of the two. The next song is Willoughby's Interlude, which is another instrumental track. This one's kind of described as their love just being in full swing. It's sort of just a move along from Nettles into the next track, but it does have a sense of foreboding. Like there's more bubbling under the surface. This isn't just young love, right? The next song we have is Dust Bowl, one of my favorites. Dust Bowl, genuinely, I think is one of the greatest songs ever written. And yeah, it reminds me of Supernatural. Real ones, no. This one goes a little bit more into how Ethel perceives Willoughby as a person. Frequently throughout the track, she calls him pretty boy, kind of infantilizing him in a way. She builds him up to be this strong man who's supposed to protect her, but she also does infantilize him, which is super, I don't want to call it strange, because I understand her psyche. Like, he is this thing that is so beautiful to her, kind of like when you see like a fawn in the forest, right? Like a baby deer, and you're just like, oh my god, like oh my god. But to her, he's also like the buck, like with his big antlers, like he's supposed to protect her, but he's also the fawn, if that makes sense. Here we learn that Will's abusive father also served in Vietnam. Ethel and Willoughby smoke a little, word I can't say, and get a little right off that. And she says, "We're smoking on that shiz your daddy smoked in Vietnam." So this also alludes to the fact that he's probably abusive due to some sort of PTSD that he got from the war. And also in this song, she says, "Pretty boy, scared of the rain, by God, tend to the rose of your violets, with your eyes all over me." That line's important. Remember it for later. The next song on the track list is A Knock at the Door. Now this song, oh mama. This song begins with referencing to the possibility that Willoughby's dad is currently institutionalized, and he's not getting better. And Willoughby knows this, and he does not care. A knock at the door, in terms of the song, and just generally, is symbolic of death. When soldiers die at war, wives or parents or family members fear the knock at the door, which means that a fellow soldier is coming to tell them that their loved one has died. So, in this way, and in this song, a knock at the door is a representation of death. And Ethel says in the song that Willoughby is not scared of it. Willoughby holds resentment for his father. He does not care whether that man lives or dies. And you know what? Good on you, Will. I call him Will because we're tight like that. That's my friend, Will Tuck. But where Willoughby isn't scared of that knock, Ethel is. She says that everything she's loved to death. Ethel fears being left. Ethel fears being alone, and she fears the knock at the door. Now, there's a part in this song where she says no one should see their friend that they've known since they were just kids foaming up and biting it on the floor. A lot of people have speculated that this is Janie she's talking about, foaming up and biting it in reference to a possible OD and passing away from that. I don't think that she's talking about Janie here at all. I think that this is a reference to the suffering that Willoughby is going through. Perhaps he is starting to abuse substances, and he's having seizures. And this is where Ethel first starts to question whether or not Willoughby really is the man that she made him out to be in her mind. This big, strong, protective figure, like her father was in a way, that's going to come and save her, to pull her out of the darkness. This whole time, Ethel is lamenting on Willoughby. She's talking about how well she knows him. She's known him since they were just kids. But does she know him? And that's kind of the question of this entire album. The next song on the track list is Radio Towers, which is another instrumental track. It's the final instrumental track. Radio Towers are pretty big symbolism in the Ethel Cain lore. Hayden loves to use them. In my mind, the interpretation that I've got is that they are, specifically in this story, kind of just a metaphor for communication. Wires are crossed. Willoughby and Ethel are not communicating, and they're not telling each other how they really feel, and ultimately that is their downfall. Throughout the back of this instrumental track, you can hear what sounds like hospital monitors beeping, signaling some sort of end to something perhaps coming soon. And this whole track is just oodling foreboding. Something bad is going to happen. Something wicked this way comes. And speaking of wicked, talk about a Midwest naturally occurring weather event. Perhaps a tornado? So what you need to know before we get into the penultimate song from Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You, is that on April 21st in 1990, there was a tornado in Shady Grove, Alabama. And something that you need to know, in the aftermath of this, 3 bodies were found. One was an old lady, one was a guy who had a dog, and the third was a Jane Doe that was thrown. A Jane Doe? Willoughby Tucker transgender allegations, I see. What you need to know is that there were 3 bodies found. One was an old lady, one was a guy with a dog, and the last one was a John Doe who was thrown into a field and had his face smashed in. Locals assumed he was a drifter because it's easier to lose a stranger. But that is all just context for the second to last song on Willoughby Tucker, which is Tempest. Now, my friend Kordell, you will know the song because this is the song that was in the Red Dead Redemption edit that I sent you. This song is from Willoughby's perspective. This is the first time that we've changed perspectives in the lore. So context of this song is that during the tornado, Ethel and Willoughby get into a fight, and she leaves Willoughby curled up between the coffee table and the couch during the peak. And she leaves him there alone. If you'll remember from Dust Bowl, Pretty Boy scared of the rain by God. Willoughby is terrified of the rain. He is terrified of the weather. And Ethel has now left him alone in the midst of a tornado after they've gotten into a huge fight and broken up. Things are not looking good for my boy! Things are not looking good for my boy. During the song, Willoughby is bitter and he's angry with Ethel. He's not doing good. He says, "Do you swing by your neck with the hope someone cares?" This is a direct reference to Family Tree intro where Ethel talks about swinging by her neck from the family tree. In that way, he's sort of mocking her, saying, all of this trauma that you've collected from your family, do you do this performatively to see if anybody's going to care about you, to save you from that, because I'm not going to. Willoughby also says, "I can lead you to bed, but I can't make you sleep. I've heard it before from someone who leaves." This is in reference to all the times Ethel has tried to fix him. She's trying to save Willoughby, but he's resentful and he's being petty and bitter because he's saying, all these little things that you do, they're nothing. They're nothing and they don't help because you can't possibly understand because you're making me out to be somebody that I am not. And because of that, you're not seeing me and what the actual problem is. And I can lead you to bed, but I can't make you sleep. I can give you the solutions, but I can't make you do them. And he says, "I've heard it before from someone who leaves." Hayden herself said about this, "Ethel desperately tries to do for Willoughby what she thinks he needs, but she can't truly help him as she's never truly looked at him for what he truly is or what he actually needs. He sees this surface level attempt as echoing the sentiments of his mother, someone who left him and his father years before. Now, I want to take it back real quick to a house in Nebraska where Ethel said, "Your mama calls me sometimes to see if I'm doing well." What? Because Hayden herself has now said that Willoughby's mom left him and his dad. So is she the kind of like absent mother that's just like she's still there? Like, are we talking about like a mom who's never seen on camera? Or are we talking about like the Gallagher's moms? The Gallagher children from Shameless's mom, who I'm struggling to remember the name of currently for some reason. Who's like left but came back and is like there but she sucks. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know if it's just a plot hole or Hayden forgot, but all you need to know is that to me, his mom left. And Willoughby is alone. Like, with his dad being institutionalized and his mom literally not in the picture. My poor boy. And also throughout this, in the end of the song, Willoughby is basically begging to die. This boy wants gone bad. And also at the end of the song, he says, "I'm gonna regret this forever." And then the ending of the song is him repeating forever, over and over again. And that is important. For the final song of Willoughby Tucker, "I'll Always Love You," Waco, Texas. Waco, Texas is definitely probably my favorite Ethel Cain song ever. It is 15 minutes of pure, I don't even know the word, like glory, just pure glory. This song essentially operates as Ethel's side of Tempest. Tempest and Waco, Texas sort of work as two sides of a conversation, which I think is really, really brilliant writing. And this song is essentially Ethel questioning, did she ever really truly know Willoughby? Because at this point, after this fight, and after the tornado, Willoughby is gone. Whether or not Willoughby left of his own accord, or he was perhaps the John Doe that died in the field with his face smashed in, we do not know. I don't believe Hayden has ever given us a concrete answer on that. So either Willoughby left and he's not coming home, and it's on purpose, or he died in the tornado. I don't know which is more tragic. The idea of Willoughby leaving Shady Grove and then coming back to find out, perhaps to find Ethel again, only to find out she is missing. Or Willoughby being dead this whole time, and Ethel still, during Preacher's Daughter at her lowest moments, holding out hope that perhaps she could get back to him in some sort of way. I don't know which is more tragic. They both suck really freaking bad. So maybe we just don't ponder on it too much, you know? But this is a lot of Ethel accepting that the version of Willoughby that she created in her mind does not necessarily coincide with the version of him that actually is in reality. She says in this song, "Love is not enough in this world." When before, she thought that their love was going to save them both, that it was strong enough. This sort of naive, childish thinking that love conquers all. It's just not meshing with the reality of the situation. But despite all this, Ethel still believes in Nebraska. She still believes in that house in Nebraska where her and Willoughby created their own sort of reality, their own space where they could be different from outside of their circumstance. Deep down, she's accepting the reality of the situation, that Willoughby is gone, but she's also still holding on to that little shred of hope that maybe there was some sort of truth in that version she created, something that she can hang on to. In the song, Ethel says, "Yeah, you've changed, but did I ever know you? Or did I hold you facing away from me?" This is sort of, again, Ethel accepting that there was no change in Willoughby. She just wasn't looking at him from every angle. She was only choosing the pieces that she wanted to create the version of him in her mind with. Then later in the song, she says, "Will it be like this forever? Will I feel like this forever?" This is a good little duo from Tempest where Willoughby's repeating, "I'm gonna regret this forever." Ethel feels guilt over leaving Willoughby during the tornado. This whole song is her guilt-ridden over how things ended, and she's saying, are you angry? Do you hate me? She wants that reassurance from Willoughby. That little "do you hate me" also kind of harkens back to Gibson Girl, where she's asking them to say, she says, if you hate me, please don't tell me. She doesn't want to hear it from them. But she wants the truth from Willoughby. The only thing that she ever loved in Shady Grove, Alabama. Right? The thing she loved the most in Shady Grove, Alabama. This song is just yearning and guilt and praying that things can change, when I believe that Ethel knows deep, 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 deep down that this is the way things are. And when we pick up in Preacher's Daughter, she's kind of like almost accepted that with House in Nebraska. She's still praying for that return of Willoughby, but she also knows that she needs to leave, right? And that's why we get the story that we do for Preacher's Daughter. But everything that happens in Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You, is a precursor to Preacher's Daughter, and tells you why she does the things that she does. Why is she singing about Willoughby so tenderly, like he was this just beautiful thing? Well, now we know. That's almost like that's how a prequel works. That's almost like how getting information that's going to lead you to a conclusion is going to work. Right? Right. I talked about Willoughby Tucker for a lot less long than I thought that I was going to. Like, I genuinely, I think I have the most notes for Willoughby Tucker, but I talked about it for less amount of time. Like, look at this. That's just for 2 songs. A full page for 2 songs. Dang. There's definitely more that I could say about Waco, Texas. Going over the significance of it being called Waco, Texas. And you know what, I will real quick. I didn't write anything down for this, but I'm just gonna go off of what I just know. So, groundbreaking journalism, I know. Waco, Texas, being the tragedy that happened in Waco, Texas. I would say the way that it relates to the song is that the government was playing all those hallucinatory sounds to the cult to make them crazy, and I think that is showing how Ethel was made crazy with love. Creating a reality for herself that just was not the case, and it being something that deteriorated her in a way. And then also the very obvious Waco, Texas being the initials of one Willoughby Tucker. I don't know what else I can say about Waco, Texas. I could just sit here and quote the entire song to you, but I think the best thing that you can do is just listen to it. Like I said, folks, this isn't supposed to be a watch this video so that you don't have to listen to Preacher's Daughter and Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You by Ethel Cain. It's meant to be sort of supplemental. I'm giving you this so that when you listen to the songs and listen to these lyrics for yourself, my friend Kordell, you can create some of your own interpretations while still knowing what the context is behind the song story-wise. I also made this because I don't really want you looking a bunch of stuff up on Genius, because some of those annotations are really not in the ballpark. A lot of them were written before some stuff came out that Hayden had said or posted or created for the Preacher's Daughter universe, and they're just not correct. They're just not correct. Saying something about witches and la-di-da-di-da, don't worry about all that. Ignore the noise. Focus on me, your friend, Emma. But that is all I got for you. I don't think I've missed anything super important. Like I said, remember, this is just the Spark Notes. Okay? Just the Spark Notes. Nothing super intricate in here. So, my friend Kordell, I hope you had a lot of fun watching this video, and you can absolutely text me if you have any specific questions. That's what I'm here for. If there's anybody else watching this video, you cannot text me. That'd be too much work. So, I'm sure there's somebody on YouTube that's created a more in-depth explanation of everything. My friend Kordell, if you want to find that, or maybe I can find that for you, because women have to do all the work. Yeah, moment of silence for that one. All quiet on the Western Front, eh? But yes, that is all I have for you. So, thank you to my good friend Kordell for making me make this. Thank you to me for making it. And thank you to Miss Ethical Cain Vinyl for making 2 of my favorite albums of all time. Thank ya. Bye.